Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Texas voters will decide on billions in property tax cuts this November, what it means for homeowners and businesses.
Victoria drivers are dodging potholes everywhere, turning commutes into a bumpy challenge.
And slow-moving storms bring deadly flash floods to North Texas.
For the Crossroads, we had a few little pop-up showers today. Nothing significant, but it's going to be hot and humid. As a matter of fact, the heat index is going to be in the dangerous category by the weekend. We'll have all that coming up in a moment.
And a big-time summer volleyball tournament took place at the new Crossroads Sports Center. We'll hear from two star St. Joseph volleyball players later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I'm Brubaker.
A former Victoria resident is heading to jail after admitting to stealing from her employer. Today, 48-year-old Currie Matthews pleaded guilty to taking more than $150,000 from her employer in early 2023. It's a second-degree felony charge. As part of the deal, she will serve 30 days in the Victoria County Jail, followed by a 10-year probation. She is also ordered to pay back nearly $227,500 in restitution. In a separate case, a Victoria County jury has found 62-year-old Adam Don Molina guilty of stealing from his employer while on the job back in May of 2022. Molina was convicted today of felony theft for taking more than $2,500. He is now serving 10 days in the Victoria County Jail, followed by 5 years on probation, and he will have to pay back over $36,000 in restitution. Well, it doesn't take long to find a number of potholes on your drive to work, headed to the store, anywhere around town. They can easily damage your vehicle's alignment and cause more serious vehicle issues. We drove several roadways today, including Garrett Street, Lilac Lane, East Street, and East Juan Lynn Street, just to name a few. And this video is what we saw. 25 News Now has asked the City of Victoria for the cost of pothole repairs last year and this year, as well as the number of repairs made last year and so far this year. We're waiting for them to gather that information and send it to us. We have also reached out to the cities of Cuero and Port Lavaca. In the meantime, we want to hear your stories with potholes in our area. Just email us and send us video or photos to staff@crossroadstoday.com, or you can always call the newsroom. The number is there on your screen. And here's your viewer poll this evening. How often do you encounter potholes on your daily routes? Very often, occasionally, rarely, or never. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And actually down a few percentage points. Very often is now at 90%. Never has bumped up to 1%. And occasionally at 7%. So continue voting. We'll have another look on 25 News Now at 10.
Strong storms moved through parts of North Texas early this morning, causing flooding in several areas and at least one death. Flash flood warnings were issued for parts of Collin, Dallas, and Denton counties. Some areas got between 3 and 4 inches of rain. Water rescues were reported in several areas, including Dallas, where one person was pronounced dead inside a submerged vehicle in floodwaters. Authorities say the person was under an Interstate 635 bridge. 2 others escaped a second submerged car in the same location. Clouds come in, the dust is right behind us.
Well, let's go to Mac Perez for a first look at our forecast. And Mac, it doesn't look like we're going to be having any picture perfect weather anytime soon.
No, I tell you, summertime's kind of a drag, actually. What we had today was 1 or 2 little pop-up showers, but Don is talking about the Saharan dust that's going to be drifting into our area. And sunsets will be golden, but you'll be very dusty in the atmosphere as we start picking that up. On the other side of the weekend, though, there is a chance for showers, and we'll take a look at the tropics. All that coming up in a moment. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. And the Storm Prep 2025 program will air across the Victoria Television Group stations during this first week of June to kick off the beginning of hurricane season. It can be seen on KMOL tonight at 6:30 and then on KXTS Friday night at 10. You may know him as a tribal elder of the sitcom Parks and Recreation back a few years ago. He also voiced the character of John Redcorn in the animated series King of the Hill. 59-year-old actor Jonathan Joss was shot to death on Sunday near his home in San Antonio.
Police have a suspect and they say he has confessed to the crime. Diane Gallagher has the latest.
Hey, John Redcorn.
Hello, Hank, Dale, Bill, Boomhauer.
Actor Jonathan Joss, whose voice brought King of the Hill's John Redcorn to life for more than 10 seasons, was shot and killed outside his former home in San Antonio, Texas, Sunday night. Police say neighbor Sigfredo Ceja Alvarez is charged with the actor's murder. According to the incident report, after being detained, Ceja told the officers, "I shot him." In a post on Joss's Facebook page, his husband, Tristan Kern de Gonzalez, wrote that the couple had regularly faced, quote, openly homophobic harassment, and said on Sunday they went to check the mail at their former home, which burned down in January, killing 3 of their dogs. There, he wrote, they found the skull of one of their dogs placed in clear view, and as they were grieving, a man approached them, quote, yelling violent homophobic slurs, and then fired a gun. Kern de Gonzalez says that Joss saved his life by pushing him out of the way. A longtime friend of the actor says that Joss and Ceja had argued for years.
Homophobic neighbor, yelling homophobic slurs to them.
But San Antonio police say, quote, currently the investigation has found no evidence to indicate that Mr. Joss's murder was related to his sexual orientation. Police records obtained by CNN show dozens of calls to addresses for both Joss and Ceja over the past year, including multiple dispatches for disturbances involving a neighbor, shots fired, threats, and welfare checks, sometimes more than one call a day.
Ceja bonded out of jail Tuesday. Police say the investigation is ongoing.
Voters will have the final say on billions of dollars of tax cuts for Texas homeowners and businesses. Texas is slated to spend $51 billion on property tax cuts over the next 2 years. Voters will be asked to approve property tax cuts in November. If voters agree, homeowners will see increased breaks on the taxes they pay toward school districts, with those above the age of 65 or living with disabilities seeing even bigger cuts. Business owners will get help too on the taxes they pay on their inventory. Governor Greg Abbott signed the $8.5 billion public education funding plan into law today. The spending package will give schools more money for staff pay raises, operational expenses, special education, and more. The new dollars in House Bill 2 mark the largest one-time public education investment in recent memory. The governor signed a $1 billion school voucher program into law last month.
Sodas and candy will be banned from Texas food stamp purchases with the passing of Senate Bill 379. To read this full Texas Tribune article, visit crossroadstoday.com.
A Travis County judge issued a temporary restraining order against the Texas Lottery Commission from spending any of the $83.5 million a Houston woman won in a February Lotto Texas jackpot. The Texas Rangers are investigating to see if there was any foul play involved. A bill to end the Lottery Commission is on Governor Abbott's desk for final approval. Most of the 1,100 measles cases reported in the U.S. are in Texas. Researchers are now using sewage wastewater to track the virus. It's similar to what scientists did during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this first national wastewater monitoring aims to detect measles where people are infected. Cases could potentially be identified days before people show symptoms or go to a doctor. The new program is available for use at dozens of wastewater treatment plants in 40 states. Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. A local barbecue joint lands in the number 8 spot in a statewide survey, and some Calhoun County 6th graders release butterflies on their last day of school. You can read these stories and more at portlavacawave.com.
Speaking of the last day of school, graduation season is winding down, and we're celebrating the class of 2025 as they graduate and move on. Congratulations to Ellie Ember from Bloomington High School. Mom and Dad say, Ellie Ember, we are so very proud of all your achievements. You are Senior of the Year and you earned it. We love you, the future Dr. Gadertz. And Hayden is a Cuero High School graduate. Mom, Dad, and Champ say we are all so proud of you, Hayden. Great job on your accomplishments. Hashtag Class of 2025. And you have until June 13th to send in a photo and heartfelt message for your 2025 grad. We are featuring all of these grads on air and on social media. To send in yours, go to crossroadstoday.com, then click the Entertainment tab, then click the Contest tab.
The American Legion and local veteran groups invite the community out to Riverside Park in Victoria for a free night of baseball and celebration. It's all in honor of our veterans, National Flag Day, and the U.S. Army's 250th birthday. The fun starts early on Saturday, June 14th with a blood drive, bounce houses, music, and food trucks kicking off at 1 p.m. Gates open at 5 and the Victoria Generals take the field at 7. Pre-game tailgating is allowed. Entry to the event and baseball game are free.
And remember to subscribe to our Crossroads Today YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our news. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. President Trump makes a bold move on steel tariffs, what it could mean for American industries and consumers. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6.
Also ahead, student loan programs face uncertainty as budget cuts loom in Washington.
U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum doubled to 50%. And while the move is praised by the American steel industry, critics in other sectors that use the metals are seeing the increased rate will eventually lead to higher prices.
Now, the U.S. is extending a tariff exemption for some Chinese goods, including chips, semiconductors, and parts for nuclear reactors. Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook is at the White House with more.
This increase is a part of a broad range of tariffs President Donald Trump has levied since taking office. But the steel tariffs are especially significant to him and his political base, as they represent an attempt to boost a U.S. manufacturing industry that has fallen on hard times. In February, Trump announced 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum. Today, his administration doubled those tariffs to 50%. He previewed this change last week while speaking with U.S. steelworkers in Pennsylvania.
We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, the tariffs on steel into the United States of America, which will even further secure the steel industry in the United States. Nobody's going to get around that.
The Steel Manufacturers Association praised the move in a statement, writing, quote, "This action will strengthen a vital industry that has suffered from global overcapacity, largely driven by China." But the move found critics in other sectors that use these metals, and experts say that the higher duties will eventually lead to higher prices on items such as cars, appliances, and construction materials. And this is just one topic in the trade talks right now. The administration is currently in trade negotiations with various countries and is urging them to submit their best proposals for trade deals by the end of the day. The 90-day pause on the so-called reciprocal tariffs is set to expire on July 9th. At the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
The Congressional Budget Office says House Republicans' tax and spending cuts package would add $2.4 trillion to the deficit over the next decade. The CBO also estimates nearly 11 million more people would be uninsured by 2034, mostly due to deep cuts in Medicaid. Some want deeper cuts to reduce the deficit, while others are concerned about shrinking the Social Security safety net. The goal is to get a final bill to President Trump by July 4th. Education Secretary Linda McMahon wrapped up 2 days of Capitol Hill testimony on Wednesday, grilled by lawmakers about department cuts that will impact students at every level, including those who borrow to help pay for their higher education.
The recent federal student loan landscape has created much confusion for current and future borrowers. Here's Karen Kafa with what to know.
Education Secretary Linda McMahon has been on Capitol Hill defending the big cuts that the White House wants to make to the Education Department's budget and facing tough questions from lawmakers in both parties as student borrowers, both current and future, chart the uncertainty.
The White House seeks to slash the Education Department's budget by 15%, and the future of some key federal student loan programs is on the line.
There are millions of people across this country who are just trying to stay on track of all of these changes.
Aisa Canchola-Banez, policy director for the Student Borrower Protection Center, says the nonprofit is receiving borrower questions ranging from where to seek help as the Education Department has slashed staff to what President Trump's massive domestic policy bill, as passed by the Republican-led House, could mean for them.
This bill will massively eliminate the number of repayment options that borrowers have at their disposal.
The legislation currently under discussion in the Senate and the Education Department's budget request propose, among other program cuts, limiting federal student loan repayment plans to just 2 options, capping borrowing even for professional programs like medical school, and slashing maximum Pell Grants typically used by low-income undergraduates by about $1,700. Meanwhile, the Trump administration restarted collection of federal student loans in default last month, impacting millions of already squeezed borrowers. Matt Schultz, chief consumer finance analyst for LendingTree, says that could dent the overall economy.
There's no question in my mind that there's going to be a ripple effect in families' budgets as a result of these student loan payments restarting, because most people's financial wiggle room was pretty tiny anyway.
Both experts we spoke with said the best way for borrowers to navigate really any policy change is to research as many options as possible for both college funding and loan repayment. Keep track of balances before they go into collection, and for those having trouble keeping up with the bills, seek help from a lender or a credit counselor before that debt snowballs. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Here's some of the top headlines you can read in the Cuero Record. A new justice of the peace takes office in DeWitt County, and Cuero pays tribute to what is called the most expensive holiday, Memorial Day. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com.
We'll be looking at your weather coming up in a moment. Right now we're at 89 degrees. It feels like 100. That heat index number is just going to be climbing as we get to the weekend, so it's going to be a hot one that we're going to have to get ready for. 92 was our official high, which is actually where we're supposed to be this time of year. We've been as warm as 99. Coming up, we'll be talking about the heat and the humidity over the weekend, and we'll take a look at the tropics as well, coming up in a minute after this. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We had a few little pop-up showers today. Nothing really exciting, but you know, something's better than nothing, right? So we did have a few little showers. There's Victoria. You can see the activity, but that's all decreased right now. Actually, last night we had a big line of storms that started in North Texas. then dropped down south through Waco and then Austin and San Antonio, and it just fell apart right there at the I-10 corridor. In fact, this is the remnants of it. You can see right about here. So it's raining in Houston, but not so much for us. That stuff out there in West Texas, not a factor as far as we're concerned. We're going to be looking at high pressure building in, and that's going to cut this rain chance down. So again, at this moment, most of the stormy stuff is in Houston, up to Conroe, and over into the Louisiana area. We, of course, saw the heavy rain in Dallas, and of course, you know, it was last week when we had the 3 waves of storms. That actually soaked everybody. So additional rainfall this time, well, it becomes quick flooding. For us, the heat and the heat index is going to be the factor over the weekend. Now, today we felt like 102. That was as warm as it got. But here's what we expect as we get to the weekend. You can see here 106, 107, 108. Now at 110, we sound all kinds of alarms and encourage people to just stay indoors because 110 heat index is how the temperature and humidity affect your body. Okay, so the thing is, if you're perspiring and it's not evaporating, well, then you're really not cooling down, and so your body goes into overdrive, and you could get a little bit of a heat stroke. So we watch that very carefully. Overnight temperatures not giving us much of a break either, only getting down to about 76, and tomorrow 93 for us, 94 out west, 95 out in Karnes City, and across the Atlantic. Here is the dust that we've been talking about. Over here, you see Africa, you see the desert, right? Well, the storms pop, and when they collapse, they get these big winds, and so dust kicks up in the air. Then the upper winds just take it across the Atlantic, and here we've got the blob that's coming in right over Florida right now. That'll be in the Gulf by tomorrow, and it'll be in our area. You'll be seeing hazy skies for the next few days as that dust drifts into our region. That actually shuts down our rain chance, so that's not going to help us at all for the next few days, short term. Long term, things are better. Potential still here for something to spin up. Potential here for something to spin up out of the Central America. And of course, this one is very likely that it'll become the next storm, but that one is should be staying offshore off of Mexico. So the tropics, believe it or not, have gotten very busy right on time. So tomorrow we're looking for a very muggy morning temperature of 80 degrees and then getting up to 90, partly cloudy. Tomorrow I don't think we'll have a rain chance. We're looking at a high temperature of 93 in the Cuero area. Your 7-day, well, the heat index will start being felt for the next couple of days. Tomorrow, certainly by Friday, we'll see the hazy skies right on through. Then after that, we do have a shot as our upper atmosphere changes at getting a couple of days of rain. Wouldn't that be nice? That is your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. And here's Shawna.
All right, thank you, Mac. Well, now we send it over to Max Williams for our sports. Max.
Yes, Shawna, 2-star high school baseball players will be competing in the Coastal Bend Coaches Association All-Star Game. They'll be this Sunday night. Find out who those 2 names are coming up in sports. This summer, one local travel softball team in Prodigy Athletics is planning to host a Wacky Wednesday tournament. Yes, that is the name there, folks, where we have 3 age groups there at 10U, 14U, and high school divisions be competing there in their first games. It started about about 20 minutes ago, and they're going to go all the way until 9 o'clock here tonight there at the U Sports Complex. And later on, 25 News No Sports at 10 p.m. will give you some of the highlights of tonight's tourney, and we'll hear from some of the star prodigy athletes as well. Now over to travel softball, to some more high school baseball, where players from Cuero and Calhoun were named to the Coastal Bend Coach Association. In Kyle Nagy for Cuero, and Calhoun brought in pitcher Ricky Martinez, and Martinez led the Sand Crabs also in on-base percentage with a .0541, and also had 2 home runs actually help out the team this season for the Sand Crabs. Then for Nagel, he was in the top 5 of all categories there for the Gobblers this past season. So the All-Star game, again, to remind everybody, will take place this Sunday at June 8th at 5 p.m. at Corpus Christi's Cabinets Field. Now over to All-Star Baseball, to summer volleyball tournament, which took place there at the Crossroads Sports Center, where we highlighted there yesterday. And this tournament was set as a round-robin tournament where we had multiple Crossroads teams compete in Cuero, Industrial, Calhoun, Goliad, El Campo, and Victoria St. Joseph, where 2 Lady Flyer volleyball stars, and Jordan Ybarra and Abigail Brister, talking before their matchups about how these summer tournaments will translate over to the regular season there this fall.
Season is looking pretty hopeful. Like, I know it's just the start of June, just the beginning of summer, but we're already putting work in the gym at practice. We're putting in work here for the scrimmages, and as a senior captain, I'm just trying to lead the team the best I can, and we can't wait for you all to see.
We can right now hopefully prepare us for what we have to face in playoffs. That's one of our really big goals, is to get to the state tournament.
Both Ybarra and Brister mentioned that this experience during the summer will help them going into regular season play and the postseason, which again will start up in 2 months. And now running over to the track, where Fero's Ernest the Flash Campbell and Goliad's Cutler's Amzal both will compete for Texas A&M at the NCAA Track and Field Championships there in Eugene, Oregon. They'll start there on June 11th there through the 14th, and Campbell will compete there in the 4x100-meter relay and the 100-meter dash, while Zamzo will compete in the 4x400-meter relay and in the open 400-meter dash. So wish both of them luck there out in Eugene for the NCAA Track and Field Championships. Now, how about the Victoria Generals look to win the 2-game road series tonight at 7 p.m. versus the Seguin River Monsters. And last night, Whitfield and Mullins led the way, having 5 RBIs in their season-opening victory as they won 12-6. So we're going to see if they can get that win. And then the home opener will be tomorrow there at Riverside. So we'll have that score, though, for later on 25 News Now Sports at 10 p.m. And finally, the Astros playing their second game of the series versus Pittsburgh Pirates on the road. And this game started about 40 minutes ago, and the score is actually updated. It's not 0-0 anymore. It is now 2-0 Pittsburgh Pirates. They're still in the bottom of the second inning right now. So again, we'll see if Astros can change the score up there going into our 10 o'clock show tonight. And that's going to do it here in sports. Don, Shawna, back to you.
Max, thank you, and we're back in a moment. At the Oregon State Track and Field Championships, a hurdler was forced to do something unusual to win the 100-meter hurdles event. You do not want to miss this. Finally tonight, if you've ever run track, you know perfect form matters, but so does desire. Both were on display at the Oregon High School Track and Field State Championship Saturday. A hurdler named Brooklyn Anderson built up a big lead in the 100-meter hurdles event. She clipped the last hurdle, sending her into an involuntary somersault. Once on the ground, the former gymnast threw
Well,
in
there you
another
go.
perfect somersault to get across the line, barely winning the race.
It works.
The crowd at her competitors loved the creativity. How about that? Whoa!
I was gonna say, like, you know,
She
a little bit of
saved it.
fun extraness after, you know,
Here it is again. Saved it from the face plant.
Oh, that.
which is
and
always
that's-
the worst, and especially going to full speed.
Yeah, those tracks. Yeah. Oh man, I tell you that.
Fortunately, it's those rubberized tracks. Remember the old days? They had the little red pebbles.
Yeah,
Those are
oh,
sharp.
yeah.
Those hurt. That you could do a somersault on.
Luckily, she had a good lead, so it didn't
affect her.
affect her. But yeah, it's crazy.
We've got some hot weather to deal with for the next couple days. In fact, it's going to be hot and hazy as some Saharan dust starts blowing over us. So it's going to be pushing the temperatures up and shutting our rain chance down. After the weekend next week, we have a little bit of chance of getting additional shower activity. And believe me, after this weekend, we're going to need a little dousing of rain somewhere.
It'll create some nice, pretty landscapes at night, though, if you're out on the back patio or taking an evening walk.
Sunsets are going to be good. Get the cameras out, all that good stuff, because they'll be reddish sundowns. Okay.
Yeah, but nice sinus problems
well,
for a lot of other people.
There's the other side of that.
Well, you know, that's
asthma, emphysema, that kind of stuff.
We're trying to look on the bright side.
Yeah.
Pretty sunsets.
That's right. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.